Oh, I first wanted to start off and thank the mods down in the chat. Again, they are all great people. Make sure to go check them out on marfoogle.news.com/friends. Today, I wanted to talk about a few things, really. One being the fire. Two, of course, being some of the situations that are going on around the planet. And then some of the stuff that is happening here. Yesterday, I was actually out in that smoke, and the fires have hit Washington really, really bad. Yesterday, the entire state was covered. And this is, of course, after this whole last couple weeks of everybody talking about fires because of Hawaii. Well, here it looks a whole lot like it did just a few years ago. And really, there's something to be said about whatever you debate the cause of all of this. It seems like it is most definitely getting worse and worse. And tonight, in fact, we're going to be talking about what scientists are saying about the ocean, and they're already preparing us for mass die-offs in the sea. Whatever reason you think all of this is happening, it seems like it is actually happening. The debate is more who is doing it, what is doing it, who's in charge of it, or that. But nobody is really debating that all of these horrible things are happening around the planet. But first of all, I also wanted to talk about Belarus. Belarus is actually going to be, they basically have told people not to go to Belarus, and they are now telling people to get out of Belarus. In fact, they are warning people to get out of Belarus right now. Now, we have talked about Belarus for a very long time, up until now, over the last 4 or 5 months. It seems like they're setting up for something to happen with Lukashenko and a tactical nuke of some sort, or all of this. And most people believe that it's, possibly a Fantastic Freddy or some sort of event will happen. I don't know what is going on there, but right now, that's a very important sign that people need to know, that they are currently telling people to get out of Belarus. If all of the information leading up to this is a setup, like we have said many times, it seems like, then we might be on a path to some really nasty stuff. So that put aside, the fires that we've been having, the fires and the weather events that are going on right now, we have had so many kind of opposite ends of the spectrum. We had, just like last year, we had everywhere was freezing temperatures. We saw the entire U.S. Essentially hitting negative temperatures or somewhere close, or freezing or below. And in fact, it was like our state was the only one that wasn't, super, super negative, right? And then we saw, of course, everywhere was hot. We're seeing these like extremes from, one end to the other. And either way, whatever you think is doing this, it is happening, and it is horrendous. Yesterday, I was out and about, and I immediately started getting dizzy. I started getting headaches, and I ended up basically gathering with a few friends and then all of their kids. And they said everybody else said the exact same thing, that they felt dizzy, they were having headaches. It was just horrendous. It was really bad. And we were not the worst place. They said that in Spokane, Washington, where one of our family members actually lost everything, they lost their home, they lost everything. That was the worst air quality in the northern hemisphere or something for that day. So worse than some of the manufacturing plants in India, or some of these places that have just the, no health restraints, no nothing for their air or pollution, whatever it may be. The air was worse there than anywhere else, really in the world, some said, but definitely in the United States. So that was going on. At the same time, there's been fires popping up all over. There's been a hurricane hitting California, and of course, the hurricane has been racking up just one crazy thing after another. Of course, we've seen photos of Dodger Stadium essentially looking like an island. There's literally a lake of water around it. And then at the same time, there was an earthquake of 5.1 that actually struck California at the same time. So there's a lot of really, really crazy events going on right now. And one thing I would say is that people need to really get ready. And I mean really get ready. Because if you think that these regional things are a big deal, just wait until this whole thing that's been really setting up for a very long time, just wait until it actually happens. We have been watching as this whole war and this global kind of argument has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And whatever you think or whoever you think is behind it, it seems like it is on the path of it is not going away anytime soon. And it's not just a Russia thing. It's a Russia, UKR, China, Taiwan, Japan, Poland, all of Europe, all of the US, all of the islands that are having issues right now. The world governments all over the place, all of our adversaries are teaming up. They're making an alliance. All of these things have been happening, and to the regular person, not to somebody in our audience that's following this stuff really closely, they're going to be caught so off guard. And the one thing I would say to prepare for the most is people that are not prepared. There are going to be people that are going to be hit in the side of the head with disaster, just as we've seen with the flooding in California, just as we've seen with the fires in Hawaii, just as we've seen with all of these natural disasters that are going on. We're going to see people that are massively unprepared. And the problem is people really think that the government is going to step in and it's going to save them, or some rescue workers are going to come get them in these natural disasters, which are by far getting worse than I've ever seen in my life. People think, and they have faith in the system, which, it's good to have faith in God, but to have faith in the system that basically saves us from natural disasters is quite ignorant. We've seen time and time again, all of these natural disasters have been completely screwed up. What just happened in the islands, we know that there's problems. Even if you don't go down the crazy route, and if you don't go down questioning anything about that, just talking about the actions done, the no sirens, the turning people around, heading them right into fire, the release of school without, in Hawaii, they should have held the kids at the school, even if there was a hurricane. They should have had their parents pick them up individually if that was the case, and tell them to come pick up their kids. It was just, the whole thing was stupid. But if you look at that, look at how many lives are lost in every one of these disasters, and then ask yourself, is there this reliable system that's going to save us all when it really goes down? We're talking about a grid down that could knock out our entire grid, power out everywhere. And if we are not able to just turn it back on, which they say it won't be able to, then we will have a situation where you have every place across our country that is going to be in utter disarray. And I think the best places to be would probably be the small towns. Other than that, if you are in the big city, you are going to be screwed, because no one is preparing for anything outside of what they are told to by the news. And we know that every other country is preparing people for a global event. There's countries all over the place that say that people should have food, water, have everything else. But our country doesn't do that. In fact, our country has labeled that crazy. Our country's three-letter agencies have literally created labels for people like us, and put us in the nut category. Whereas when you look at the physical thing we are doing, we are preparing for an unlikely event, kind of like every single insurance company for every single category of insurance. That's considered responsible in everything except for the food that feeds us and the water that keeps us living. The two most essential things in our planet, really, to humans. So I don't understand it. As far as the fires, these are going to continue. These are getting worse and worse. I actually looked back through the 5 years I've been covering this. I've never covered this so often. In the last 2 years, almost every month in some part of the world, there has been horrific fires, from Greece to Hawaii, from Canada, from California, from the West Coast. And now you're talking about, they're predicting in the next 3 or 4 years, there's going to be fires on the East Coast as well, because of different patterns that are happening from these crazy things that are happening with El Nino and La Nina, and possible events, this or that. Now, again, people will argue of how it's happening, why it's happening, but not too many people are arguing that it is happening. I talked to a high-ranking Foogle family member, and this is a person that I have known now for 4 years. And this person said that they have been told, and there are other people in his same position or their same position, that they are being told that by next year, everything is going to be different. And he's talking on a global scale. So this person is saying that everything is going to appear different from right now to next year, saying that there are going to be multiple events that they are preparing for, that they are drilling for. And he said half of them are public. And he says he doesn't have any idea why people are not preparing for something bigger than what the news is telling them. So I do believe them, and I believe because of the position they are in, I absolutely believe there's no motive for this person to make this up. He says that it is a much more known fact in the upper ranking military that there are things that are about to go down. It's kind of like there was the Fear the Walking Dead show that came out a few years ago, and it was a spin-off off of The Walking Dead. And in the beginning of that show, it kind of shows how the virus is starting to play out. And it shows a police officer before everybody knows what's going on, and they keep talking about, like, why doesn't anybody know what's going on? Why isn't anybody talking about this? It shows a police officer basically loading up water into his trunk, and they look at him and they're like, huh, that's weird. But that's exactly what you would see. You're going to see the people, the military and the police and the people that are slightly above, they're going to get word before all of us, and then it's going to trickle down to civilians. You're going to see them to start to prep. Now, we have already seen the extreme top, and we're talking about the richest people in the world. They are all preparing like there's no tomorrow. And I mean literally no tomorrow. They're talking about going to other planets. They're building bunkers. They're buying submarines, and they're preparing for flooding, asteroids, whatever else you may call it. You've seen companies like Atlas Survival, the bunker company. He is literally just skyrocketed in size because of how many people are buying these bunkers. Now you could say, people are just freaking out. They're just scared. At the same time, you see all of the little things that are happening in our military and in our world, and people are still in denial that there is something bigger going on here. I don't claim to know everything and to know that, exactly what day or when this is going down, but I, like many others, are looking at this, and we're talking to our friends and family and going, are you seeing this as well? And they are saying yes. Even the people that don't follow this stuff are noticing things are not going well. Not to mention that they are now talking about the thing that shut us down in 2019. They are now talking about that again. Whether you believe this or that or this, they're definitely talking about it. And that's the thing that really gets me. We've already seen they have now set up a lot of social platforms. So they are actually setting up pre-hand that you are, they're changing the rules about how you talk about things like that. So that to me says that something is on its way. And who knows, that could, we could have a lot of distractions coming our way to keep our mind off of something far, far worse. Let me know what you guys think. Again, you guys know we have tons of active and retired military members in our audience. And I thank you for your service. And I do believe that there are a lot of that there is a lot of good military men and women, despite all of these videos on TikTok of young military members saying, why did you join? Oh, because of the money. Oh, because I'm an idiot. This and that. Showing essentially no honor, not fighting for honor or for, their country. They're basically so they can get a $100 bill. There is still a lot of good military out there. There is still a lot of good men and women that are putting their lives in danger so we can have what little freedom we still have left. And we still have a voice. We can still shout to the mountaintops about what we think. There are other countries that are not so lucky. So again, we are blessed to have what we have. But a lot of people say, oh, well, people aren't grateful enough. I think that we have to balance it because people really do need to realize things are getting taken away. And just because we have more freedom than anybody else doesn't mean that we let it slide down a hill and go further and further down and to the point where we can't say our mind, we can't speak our mind, or even be seen while speaking it. So I hope all of you are paying attention to what is going on with all of this mess, this Ganda circle that's happening, and then also pay attention to what they're not talking about. Look at the back page news. Things are about to change. And things are about to change drastically, in my opinion. With the hurricane hitting California, I'm praying for all of you guys in California. There are not good news there. I see a lot of East Coast people saying, "Oh, well, they're just getting what we get every year." Well, and they're whining about it. Well, that's the point. California doesn't get hurricanes. They are not set up for this. Many places didn't even put boards up. They didn't do any of the preparing because they didn't know how. I kind of relate it back to like when the Nisqually earthquake happened, and my teacher from Texas didn't know what to do. He ran out of the school, literally didn't tell us anything, ran out the school doors screaming, and left a bunch of kids in school, didn't tell us a thing. Because he didn't know what to do in that situation. He literally thought, I'm going to run out the door. This is what's going to happen in California, and it won't be so dramatic or stupid as that, but there's going to be a lot of people that are not prepared for this kind of weather and this kind of event because it's not normal. Just as Seattle or Washington isn't prepared for 118-degree weather like a couple years ago and people perished because we're not used to it. We're not set up with AC. We're not set up for these things. So that's why people need to start preparing for the unexpected. Make sure to check out our show tonight. We're going to go over all of this. Plus, we're going to be going over some of the crazy science stuff. They're talking about mass die-offs in the ocean, whether you believe it's somebody pushing a button or it is the ocean itself or it's something for an agenda. They are already setting up for things to happen. So I bet you we're going to see all sorts of weird animal events, and it might have a real reason. It might be shifting this or shifting that. We don't know, but we'll talk about that tonight on Marfoogle TV on our sister channel. Share this out if you can. Again, I hope these words reach as many people as possible, because I do hope that people get prepared. I think there's a lot of normal people out there that do have it in the back of their head that they know something is coming right now, but they just don't want to admit it to us. I hope that those people do take a second and look at their stock and look at what they have in their pantries. And even if they don't have the financial ability to prep up, overnight, that they start doing it just a little bit week by week. So again, share this out if you can on whatever you can. And I appreciate you guys. We will see you, and we'll cover everything else over on our sister channel, Marfoogle TV. Also check out our website, marfooglenews.com. We're completely independent. Again, you have affiliates and different products that we believe will either make your life easy or save your life over at marfooglenews.com/food, marfooglenews.com/EMP if you want to protect your vehicles from an EMP, or you can go to marfooglenews.com/energy, INERGY, and get one of the best military grade solar generators out there. That is over there as well, so make sure to go check it out. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you in just a few minutes over on Marfoogle TV. Love you guys. Thank you, mods, and make sure to hop on over in just a few minutes. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.